A couple years ago, I was at work and I got a phone call, and it was my daughter, and it was on FaceTime, so I'm talking to her, and she says, "Mom, I've been in a little accident." So we rushed to the hospital and spend the day in there and, get home and, tend to her and all of that. My biggest concern was just the protection of her and her rights because she was a minor.
If someone is injured as a pedestrian, I think that's probably the most terrifying and traumatizing type of personal injury you can have. Now imagine you're just the person that's out walking your dog, okay? You're not wearing a helmet. You have absolutely nothing protecting you. So that person, if they get struck, their injuries are more often than not going to be very severe, life-threatening. So these people, when they call in that are injured in pedestrian type accidents, they are very traumatized. They are in a lot of pain because their injuries more often than not are very severe, very significant. They are lost. They don't know where to turn. It's a very difficult situation. It's a very emotional situation. And we have to take a lot of time with those people just to let them talk. Let us understand what they're going through. And the more we understand, the better we can do to help them. The first thing that we do at our firm when we are talking with that injured person who's been involved in an accident is to try to lower their stress level. And you just have to let that person talk to you. You have to let them know first that you're there to listen, that you're there to understand. And then we talk about, okay, here is our plan. Here is how we're going to get you back to where you need to be. Here's how we're going to make sure you are reasonably compensated for everything you've gone through and everything you're still going to go through. And so we talk about that plan, we formulate that plan, then we put that plan in place and try to assure them that you can focus on doing what the doctor says, getting better, spending time with your family, getting back to work, and let us handle the rest of it. The biggest mistakes that we want to make sure people avoid if they've been in a pedestrian accident, they've suffered an injury, again, first and foremost, making sure that you get the appropriate medical treatment. Do not delay in seeking medical attention. Maybe you didn't think you needed to go straight to the hospital or take an ambulance to the hospital, but don't sit around and wait days and weeks, evaluated and get treated. It may be that you're okay. It may be that the doctor says, you got some bad bumps and bruises, but you should recover fine. That's okay. Don't take a chance on your health, and don't just wait and wait and wait. First of all, that's not good for your health, and it's going to delay your healing, and you may actually aggravate an injury that you've suffered because you did not get the appropriate treatment in a timely fashion. And secondly, and from my standpoint as your lawyer, it puts me in a position where with the insurance company where I know they're going to say, well, this accident, he was hit by this car on this date, and he did absolutely nothing until 6 weeks later when he showed up at the hospital, and they said he has a fractured femur. He has a broken arm. And that's a delay in treatment. That's a gap in treatment. How do we know he didn't fall down the stairs 2 weeks ago? And this has nothing to do with that. And so it really puts your lawyer at a disadvantage, which ultimately puts you at a major disadvantage. In choosing a personal injury attorney, first of all, you need to have a personal injury attorney, not an attorney who occasionally does a personal injury case here and there. You need somebody who works exclusively, if not at least primarily, in that area of law. You need somebody who I believe is well respected, experienced obviously, but well respected in the community. Well respected not only by the judges and courthouse staff, but has the respect of insurance adjusters. You need to have an attorney who is not only experienced, but is willing to go to court and is willing to convey that, and who that insurance company knows this case, if it doesn't get resolved for a reasonable amount, will be tried by this attorney.
Once the case was resolved, Attorney Jean Vaught was able to get her enough to where she was able to purchase items that were not be a burden to her in payment-wise for her to progress in college. So she didn't have any payments. So she can attend college without, a burden.
To the person who has been injured in an accident, who thinks they want to contact an attorney, but feels like, I don't know that financially I'm going to be in a position to do that. The first thing I say is, within the personal injury realm, which is all I do, our fees are based solely on a contingency. You only pay me, our firm only earns a fee when we resolve your case, whether that be through settlement or whether that be going to trial and getting a jury verdict. And that is a percentage contingency. And you know what? If we don't recover anything for you, you don't owe us anything.
If anybody needs a personal injury, to call Attorney Jane Vaught.